Hello again. Welcome to This Week in History. This week we're going to be focusing specifically on the Articles of Confederation, the weaknesses, and how our government was first built using the ideas from the English and some ancient documents. So the first thing we want to talk about is just let's think about reviewing. When we review, we want to think about what have we learned in the past week. So, learn about who Congress is. Congress is our legislative branch. And key for you guys to understand is the legislative branch is the branch that makes laws for our country. Remember, on the Articles of Confederation, there was only Congress. And the Congress under the Articles really didn't have any power. Because of that, when our Constitution was written, it was included the executive branch. The executive branch is the branch of government that has our president, and they can enforce the laws. Now, our nation's first document, and by the way, we also have the judicial branch as well. The judicial branch is our court system, and the court system is responsible for interpreting the law and how the law is being carried out. So, our first Constitution was the Articles of Confederation. It wasn't very effective, and it wasn't very effective because it really limited its powers. Under the Articles of Confederation, the Congress had no power, it couldn't tax, and it couldn't enforce any laws. Confederation, the term confederation, if we think about the Civil War, and we're jumping forwards a little bit, but in the Civil War we had a group of states that were formed to break away from the United States, and they formed a loose alliance of states so they could fight against the North in the Civil War. Now, one of the biggest problems was under the Articles of Confederation that each of the states was acting like a sovereign nation. So therefore, we have the word sovereignty. Okay, sovereignty being acting as independently, like all of the different countries of the world act independently. They don't have to answer to anybody else. And eventually, under the Articles of Confederation, you come across the word ratify. The word ratify means to approve. In order to get a document ratified, it required 9 of the 13 states, and as we found out, they couldn't ever agree upon anything. It was just like if I were to ask you people about going to lunch and everybody wants to go to a different place. The states have the same problem. And they also tried to amend or change the document as well. And so they were unable to do that because they had to have all 13 states. So there was many issues with the Articles of Confederation. Thus, our Constitution was written when they realized that the Articles of Confederation would no longer work. And when the Constitution was written, it borrowed ideas from some documents that were written a long time ago. For example, the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was a document that was signed in the year 1215, and it limited the power of the English king. He had to actually give up some of his powers. Other documents that were very helpful for the people writing the Constitution was the English Bill of Rights, which basically gave rights to the citizens of England, things such as trial by jury. Now, these examples were eventually included in our nation's first Constitution, or excuse me, not the final Constitution. And the idea of electing your own representatives. We're going to read about that this upcoming week. So in the Mayflower Compact, which was done right before the people from the Plymouth, from the Mayflower, actually landed on Plymouth Colony, they decided to elect their own representatives. That in itself was a key document because this is the first example of democracy, electing their own representatives in North America. So there we have it. That's going to be our focus this week. Remember, focus on the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, why it wasn't successful, and then how we eventually write our Constitution using some of the documents from the past.